How fast can a business go from 100K months to 1 million months?
It's a vanity metric. It depends what you're building. When I did the consulting, I went from 0 to 1 million run rate in 63 days. No advertising actually involved with that as well.
What are the characteristics of an 8-figure founder?
There is just a certain level of what is their makeup? What is their character traits? Is that person the right fit to build an 8-figure business? Some people aren't. There is a huge problem in thinking that you have a problem with having problems. You should naturally wake up to problems to solve. That is the nature of business. Do you want to be the pawn? Do you want to be the castle? Do you want to be the king? Do you want to be the player? Do you know what I mean? That's actually then moving all of the chess pieces. Do you want to just pick the chessboard up and go, I'm walking off, I'm going to play a different game?
Welcome to Founders Playbook Podcast, the ultimate guide for entrepreneurs to build their empires, increase profits, and become great leaders. I'm your host, Nelson, founder and CEO of Vibes Creative, Australia's leading video podcast agency. Let's get down to business. Welcome back to another stellar episode. Today, this is a second round with one of our earliest guests. Today's guest has been on the podcast before, and he's the legend behind the marketing strategies for many on the industry's top online coaching businesses. He's the founder and CEO of the Rainmakers, which makes over 52 million in coaching sales per year. Please welcome back the incredible Chris Dufey.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you.
How about this new studio, mate? Last time we met was on our old studio.
Dude, studio is impeccable. I applaud. You've leveled up. You are growing beautifully, and it's really cool to see it. You should be really proud of yourself.
We both have, and a lot has changed for you. So as soon as I saw that you posted online, I'm coming on the Gold Coast for a few days. I knew we had to add a round to it. I've seen everything you've been doing in the background. I'm stoked for the level of success that you're achieving, and we're very fortunate to have you back to share some of those new insights. But clearly, we have to start at a place that we left last time that we had this conversation. Last time we chatted, you were going through a difficult period on your personal life and your personal level. It's been a while since you sold your previous coaching business. You were stepping into a new area of your life and trying to find some answers for yourself. And you were going through what someone calls the tunnel. Can you give a little bit of context for that? And by the way, before listening to this episode, make sure you go and watch the previous episode where we cover a bunch of different stuff, the backstory of Chris. Today, we're going to dive into more high-level things and more things that will help founders and entrepreneurs grow their businesses and a business that you don't grow to hate. So make sure you watch that before you jump into this one. But what do you find about yourself going through the tunnel?
This is fun to think about what's happened. This is actually really interesting, you asking these questions. So the tunnel was a great transformation, evolution, me figuring my stuff out. So when we last spoke, it would have been maybe a bit under a year since I sold the last company. I sold the last company. I did about a year of consulting CEOs. So I essentially would kind of get brought in as like a chief growth officer for a business, and I'd do consulting. And a lot of the time it would be like consulting the CEO, but then I'd be helping the rest of the team, especially to do with all of their sales and marketing acquisition side of things. That was really fun because I went from a coaching business model. Then I went to a consulting model where, I was charging up to $25,000 a month retainer, doing a couple of 6 figures a month at 94% profit margins, just me being able to do it. But then I got to a point where I was like, no, I want to build something. And I said to myself after selling my last company, I'm not going to start anything until I know in my bone marrow what I want to do, and it's something I know that I have to bring into the world. So I wanted to pick my shots. And so I was able to then really think about it, and I could see very clearly there was this gaping problem in the market where I could see coaches, consultants, these service businesses, they did not have the support, they did not have the level of expertise needed for them to be able to grow. And I also could start to see, so during the consulting, I did over 220 hours of consulting 6, 7, and 8-figure CEOs. And I took meticulous notes as well throughout the whole process. And so I had one set of notes that I called the formula, which is essentially like what was actually working, like what were the good things, what were the common themes, how could I have some sort of pattern recognition to see what was actually going to produce results. And I had another list called the not formula, which is like what are all the mistakes people are making, how can I see what people are doing wrong to then avoid that. And one day I found myself thinking, I go, one of the biggest lies I think is getting thrown around in like our entrepreneurial bubble right now is one person's supposed to be able to do it all. One person is supposed to be able to handle all sides of their business and be able to run absolutely everything. And especially in the coaching, consulting, and expert space, I think that's just incorrect. Yes, there are unicorns that we can all point to that is like that person is being able to do it all, but that does not mean that there is a vast majority, an ocean amount of people that are just struggling because they're trying to be able to grow their business and handle it all. And I mean, can a founder be able to handle the leadership, be able to recruit, be able to lead, be able to set up the systems, be able to do client success and delivery, be able to do marketing and sales and the funnels and the ads and building the sales team, managing the sales team, listening to sales calls, handling the financials? Like there's so many aspects to that. And when it comes down to it, the vast majority, the people that I could see that I really want to serve, essentially they want to earn a couple of 6 figures a month profit. They want to love the work that they do. They want to love the people that they want to work with. And they want to be able to not work 24/7 so they can actually enjoy the rest of life as well. And so that's where I could see that there was this massive gaping problem that could be served that no one else was really serving. And so that's why the Rainmakers were served. And I think that was simply an expression of me going through that growth, through that tunnel, and then coming to the other side and being like, this is now the man that I am. This is who I want to be and how I show up in this world. And this is the work and the mission that I'm now on. And so that was me leading to this point now, which is kind of cool to think about. We had a discussion, now we're a year later. And if we were to have another discussion a year from now, what's the dribble that's going to fall out of my mouth then?
Yes. But that's exactly how it should be. We should constantly be evolving, and what you said there as well resonated a lot with me as a founder myself that has been through all the roles in the company, right? From sales to marketing to delivery to client success to producing everything, right? And I'm at a point now where you start realizing, yeah, I should not be spending any more of my time trying to get really good at all these things.
Yeah.
I should just be focusing on putting the team members, the team members and the leadership team that should be even better than me at
Yes.
those things. And that they just need maybe some guidance and coaching for us to succeed at the highest level. It's not so much anymore like how good can I be now at running ads or the marketing. It's just really stepping in to solve the high level problems. That's what I found my value to be now as a founder and CEO is when I jump in with clients or anything that's happening is to solve a big problem, and it's more strategic. Is giving that input that, oh, got it, that's what we need to do, that's why the messaging is wrong, or that's why this offer is not going to work, let's switch things around, and then the team can come and fulfill at the highest level, at a level that hopefully at this point is even better than what I could do it, right? So that resonated so much with me. What does it take to build a business that can make over $52 million per year in sales?
It just simply takes the right people with the right systems in the right culture. And so and it was interesting because like when I kind of did some math, I think we would actually be beyond that number now because I haven't looked at it for a little while. So our partner portfolio is selling over 52 million in sales. And even we were speaking just before, our internal sales team is now closing over $1 million of sales per month also. And so that's where my belief is I don't build businesses, I build the people that build the businesses. And this is where I want people to first understand when they're listening to anyone that where is that person coming from? What is their goals and intentions? What are they wanting to achieve? And does that align with what they want? So in the case of I want to build a business that with my current belief set is going to be doing some healthy 8 figures a year. Do I want to build a 9-figure business? My honest truth is no, I don't want that, because I also want to be an amazing father to my 4 daughters. I want to be an incredible husband to my wife. I want to be a great friend to my mates. I want to be taking care of my physical health and my shape. I want to explore other things that I'm curious and interested in as well that's not just business. And this really came to an apex or like an epiphany for me. Earlier this year, I was able to spend a couple of days with my absolute biggest hero in the entire world, Derek Sivers. And Derek was somebody that I had read all of his stuff, listened to anything that he had ever produced, and I just loved everything that he put out into the world. And it just resonated in my bones what he was talking about and the way that he was thinking and how contrarian he would be. And then crazily enough, I think it was at the end of last year, I was at a business event. He got brought in to speak. We got chatting, started a friendship, and then there was a case of like, he was like, oh, like if you ever come to New Zealand, do you know what I mean? Like hang out, would love to spend time with you. And then I was like, well, I can kind of come next week. And he was like, great. And so I flew to New Zealand, got to hang out with Derek for 3 days. We recorded over 7 hours of podcast together, literally sitting at a coffee shop at the top of a museum. And I was like, I'm sitting with the one person that I was like, he was like the top of my list. Like if you were like, who's the best person you want to sit down and interview with, hang out with, get to be able to just like really get to know and to see how they operate. For me, it was Derek. And I was able to truly see how he lived and the way that he thought, and just to get deep into it. For me, I took so much away because I don't want to just chase after money for money's sake. And I want to be able to build a life that I truly admire. Like for me, the intention and the end goal is, can I put my head on my pillow at the end of every night? Can I put my head on my deathbed and admire how I showed up? And that's it. And that's going to be malleable. It's going to change. It's going to flow. There is movement to it for how that looks on a day-to-day basis. So for me, it's a case of building this business and what does it take to build this? On a practical level for someone to take away, on a tactical level, it's like, great, I need the right team members. And exactly with what you said, because this is something that is very much top of mind for me. Can I recruit and attract the team members that are amazing at what they do, especially at my head of departments level? In a case of they are better, they are so much better at what they do compared to what I can bring to that role. And it was very interesting to me, the ego to be like, whoa, this person, like they start talking about things and strategizing and executing. And I'm like, whoa, they're so much better than me. That's amazing. But that's exactly what I want. So can I bring the right people in? Can I provide the right culture? So us as a team and as a unit, are we actually able to work together in the capacity so that we all produce the best work and enjoy the work that we're doing? And also, am I able to really ensure that I am helping them develop themselves and to continue to be able to get better and better so that there is something for them to be able to truly look forward to when they wake up in the mornings. And so for me, that's so much of the case of what I want, because it's so much more beyond me. I don't do the sales. Like it's not me doing it. I just see me as a conduit to be able to facilitate what is something so much bigger for me that then is what is produced.
Speaking on that, because that's something as well that building a business I've found to be one of the key ingredients to truly get to the next level, which is having the right people on the bus, right? What have you found is the difference between A players and B and C players?
Great question. Their minerals, what they're made up of, their level of obsession for when it comes to their role and the way they are able to bring their expertise to the world. So like, are they listening to podcasts to do with what it is that they do? Are they continuing to, like, what are the books that you're reading? What are you listening to? What are you trying to get better at? And if it's a case of, let's say, for example, I'm looking at a media buyer, okay? If that person isn't consuming knowledge and wanting to get wiser around media buying and the greater ecosystem that affects that role, alarm bells start to ring for me. And so for me, it's very much a case of, is that person wanting to better themselves at this? And do they just love it? They're genuinely curious about the stuff that surrounds that role. And that's what their expression into the world really is. And I want to be able to provide them to be able to create greater creativity with that expression of what it is that they are actually able to do. So their minerals, their curiosity level as to like what it is that they're actually able to do. There is definitely a capacity for how they actually show up and just manage themselves. So do they have distraction and noise in their life? Because if they have burning fires in their personal life going on, it is going to affect how they show up at work. And especially because, and this is, I believe this is tougher running a virtual company. Now, we're here in the Gold Coast right now. I flew into the Gold Coast. I've flown other team members in so that we can have this end of year get together. But there's so much, like the vast majority of the team is all over the world. And so how can I know what is actually going on behind? Like, and this is where there's just conversations that I have to have with my team members and to be able to check in with them and to be like, how are your two kids going? Do you mean, how's your wife going? How's life feeling right now? Is there anything that I can do to support? And I think it's the way that I think I can best support them is just to literally be able to have those more personal conversations with them and just to be like, look, as a father of 4 and as a husband of, it was our 13-year wedding anniversary yesterday, like there is some level of help that I may be able to provide, or even if I can just be a sounding board for them as well. But there is a level of distraction and noise, and are they actually able to what I call self-parent themselves? Because if they're able to self-parent themselves, then they're going to be able to be more productive and efficient at their actual role as well. So for me, there is definitely a level. So I've covered 3 so far. The 4th one is there is just a level of a certain je ne sais quoi that comes to, is this person the right fit? Is this person going to succeed at this role? And for me, I will use a gut feeling because I don't know what other words that I could feel. It could be pattern recognition so far, and that's what intuition ultimately is. But there is a gut feel. There is what I actually say is there is a spidey sense going on to go, that person is the right fit. And where I have gone wrong, more importantly, is when I have not listened to that spidey sense. Because team members will come. That does not mean they're going to be with us forever. And that's an expectation I never assume. I never assume this person is going to be with this company forever. That's just completely unnatural to think that. Can I help that person become the person and achieve what they ultimately want in their life? I want to be able to do that. But also, can that overlap with what the company needs as well? So when I am sitting in a final interview, I will ask a question. You being your most selfish self, what is it that you want? And me trying to get deeper into that as well. And what we were discussing previously was if you have a team member and you can tell they're quite entrepreneurial, like you can think, they're going to want to start their own thing. Well, can you just help them go start their own thing, or can you get them to start their own thing inside of your ecosystem? So then they help Vibes be able to grow because they're essentially being able to do what they want, but it's also helping what you want at the same time. So there's a symbiosis there. So I think about these factors coming together as like, what does it actually take to bring quality people? I think there's a fifth as well that really comes to me also, which is a case of, does your vision attract them? Is it what you want to build and where you want to go light them up and excite them? And even I was sitting down with two of my key team members yesterday and I was talking about where I want us to go, and they were lit up and they were like, let's go. Do you know, like, they were like, let's put some war paint on, let's get after it. Like, I'm willing to eat some glass, but I want to have fun at the same time. And there's a juggle between those two, but like, let's go, let's make this happen. And that to me is like, okay, there is a alignment that we have now for us to be able to do this.
There's something that you share in there that upon reflection now, and having a team member that is quite entrepreneurial, or that maybe having conversations, they might say like, oh, this is what I want to do, or I want to do my own thing in the future and all these things. On my early stages of the journey, there was a part of me that always was like, oh, but why am I going to keep this person? Why am I going to pour so much into them? Resources, time, coaching, training, passing on lessons that I had to pay for them in either in money, in time, in pain. And I'm going to give all of that for this person to eventually leave and do their own thing. Is that what I should do? Should I just focus on someone that just wants the safety, that just wants the salary, and they're okay with just earning, the a fixed amount? They don't care about much other than the security. And now my thinking has evolved to more, I actually think that the leadership team needs to have some level of entrepreneurial blood in them. I kind of get excited now when I hear some of my team members saying, that in the future they want to do their own thing, or that I can smell their thinking bigger than just the role. Because now, as you said, I've put my focus into understanding that Vibe's mission and dream has to be big enough to fit all their dreams in it. And it keeps bringing this question of, how can I create an environment that allows for their dreams to come true as well? So I'm not the only person getting a benefit out of it. We're all winning. That's all I care about. And I often tend to explain to them that when you look at a chessboard, not everyone can be the king. And most people think that they want to be the king until they're giving the tasks and the responsibilities and the duty of the king. It fucking sucks. Yes, you do get the biggest rewards in some ways, but you have the biggest price to pay every single time. And everything comes on you. However, being one of the next people to the king, usually you reap big benefits to that. And you get massive rewards for that, especially if you have been on a long enough time frame and if you have the right king. Because the right leader will focus on rewarding those people that have been from early stages, that have helped essentially build the entire empire. So now my thinking, if anyone out there is kind of getting almost repelled, or their mind goes to, I really don't want to have entrepreneurial, so if I hear them that they want to do their own thing, that's a no-go for me. I would say that for the leadership team especially, it's really good to have people that are, as you said, obsessed and have that drive and they want more, and if you can find a way to make it a win-win for everyone, there's no way to fail, because you have a whole team of that high achievers coming together for this one mission. Question. That's what what you see as an A player, right? Can you create an A player?
Can I create an A player?
Can you turn a B or C player into an A player?
I think you can turn a B player into an A player if the conditions are correct. So let me use two analogies that you've used so far, the bus and the chessboard. So the bus analogy was get the right people on the bus. And so I think this comes from good to great, where it's essentially you get the right people on the bus, put them in the right seat, and drive the bus in the right direction. Now, for me, I use that analogy in a way of, am I getting the right people on the bus? And are they sitting in the right seat, therefore doing the right role? And are we going in the right direction that we want to go in? But also, what does a bus do? It stops frequently and people come on and off. So yes, I want to pour all that I can into the people that are on the bus. And I know that people will come on and off the bus because it's the nature of the bus. So I'm okay when people come and go. So that's the bus analogy. So it's like, okay, I know people are going to come and go. That's perfectly fine. Obviously, I want the right people that are going to be there for us to get there. But it's also at certain times, I know that I need to stop the bus, let some people on, and then go bring other people on. And I think this definitely comes with just experience and just like getting slapped in the face often enough with it. But knowing that businesses grow in phases and stages. And so especially, let's say, I'm quite certain this comes from Ready, Aim, Fire, but I think this is very true, where businesses grows in ones, threes, and tens. Okay, so let's just say getting to 100K a month, let's say 253K a month, $1 million a month. Now, for me, especially in like coaching and service businesses, like I just think this is almost set in stone right now. Technology may change this. I think the technological shift that we're going through is going to change the dynamics of this, but I can see very clearly, and I've seen literally hundreds of other coaching businesses go through this. They will plateau at about 100K a month. And what happens is there's certain things that you need to do to be able to grow to the next level. So there's certain team members that you will need. There are certain constraints that your business will have. There are certain growth pains that you will need to go through to get to about 250, 300 a month. And then again, so quite often this is a conversation I've had many times with other founders, and they'll come on board. Let's say they're at about 100,000 a month, maybe just under 100,000 a month. And then the conversation will be is like, okay, well, where do you want to take your business? Like, what's the end goal? Where do you want to get to? And I want to get some sort of a vibe of what they're wanting to do and the direction they're wanting to head to. And many cases, I'll have a discussion and go, okay, there is a big difference between a business that's doing, let's say, 250 a month to $1 million a month. In the case of, it becomes a little bit more corporate, it comes a little bit more structured. And so many cases with what a person wants is if somebody wants to profit, let's say $100,000 a month, they want to take home in their back pocket 100K a month, maybe their business, it doesn't need to be, but let's say, in a worst case scenario, revenue wise, it's 250 a month. Okay. Now, if you want to grow beyond that point, you have to make such structural changes in the actual business and managerial changes inside of that business for it to be able to then go to the next kind of capacity, which is about that $1 million a month, which then it needs to grow again. So for me, it's a case of what do you actually want? What do you want your life to look like? Where are your skills and your traits and your characteristics going to show up for where it is that you want to actually be able to be? Then it's the chessboard. So the chessboard analogy for me, when you say that, I think of somebody could be a pawn. Now, a pawn on I might get a little bit Buddhist right now with this right now. So there is relative truth and there is ultimate truth. So is the pawn any less valuable than the king on the chessboard? Okay. Relative truth, absolute truth. Now, absolute truth, no. Do you know what I mean? Like, not as less valuable. Relative truth, yes, less valuable. Now, somebody couldn't come in as a pawn and they were born a pawn. That was the role that they're meant to play. And this is where I'll kind of like look at different ways to perceive. And we could be like total free will and a fatalistic point of view of life. So let's say a person is like, I was just born to be a pawn, right? They're just like Allah. It was written by God. And it was like, that's the way it's supposed to be. Or other people will be like, I have full control and agency over myself. I can become whoever I want to be. And I'm a pawn now, but I'm going to become a king. And I'm going to do whatever it takes to be able to evolve myself and to be able to become a king. And it's also understanding of like somebody's growth. So can somebody come on board and they start off? I'm thinking of one specific team member, amazing dude. And he's been able to build himself up and his skill sets and his ability to execute. That's just been astounding this year. It's been so cool to watch. And so for me, it's being able to use the right chess pieces in the right places and to be able to be like, where are you right now? Where on the chessboard do you want to fit? And I'll give so a great example. I went and saw one of my mentors, Sharan, just a few months ago in the US. And I interviewed him for my podcast and we went for a walk before it. It's kind of a theme I do, I guess. I go for a walk before our podcast. So we went for a walk before and he was wanting an update on everything to do with the business and everything like that. And he's like, wow, this is really good. You've grown so fast. This is so amazing. And he said something that threw me when he first said it, which was, you may want to think, Chris, to replace yourself as CEO. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. My ego flared up. Like, whoa, hang on. Like, I'm the king, right? Like, I'm the CEO, I'm the dude in charge. He's like, no, you could pay someone $250 a year, someone that's like doing really trained up, like MBA, all of that kind of stuff. And they will love that role. They'll love to be able to grow it and they'll be specific at being able to do that role, but you can then go above. And I think that's where you then transcend the chessboard. So what's the, like, you go, oh, the king's the most important part. Well, hang on. What about the player that's sitting behind the chess pieces? Right? So there's levels on levels in the way to think about that and where you want to best play the game in which you're actually doing it as well. So there's kind of like the ways I think about what you've brought up so far for that.
I love that also additional perspective on it because it's so true, right? There's another level on top of the game in itself.
Yeah. Do you want to be the pawn? Do you want to be the castle? Do you want to be the king? Do you want to be the player? Do you know what I mean? That's actually then moving all of the chess pieces. Do you want to just pick the chessboard up and go, fuck it, I'm walking off, I'm going to play a different game? So there's levels on levels in which this comes upon as well. And that's the thing I think about. And again, I say that, do I want to pick my ball up and be like, I'm done playing it? Like, we're playing games. Do we want to continue to play that game, or am I happy to pick up my ball and go somewhere else and do something different? And for me, it was that time that I spent with Derek that was so like, oh, you can pick your ball up and go play somewhere different and do something different as well. And I think about that for myself is like, I think of like a label, do you mean like on my shirt? And so right now I've got like founder CEO label on there. But really I've been thinking, what if I took that label off and I actually replace it with investor? Is investor the actual next label that I want to play? And it's so fascinating to me when we start to perceive the world differently. It's like I'm changing the lens in which I'm looking through the world at. It then changes the world. And so even just toying with that idea, I'm now taking equity deals inside of businesses that I'm very confident that we're able to grow. And I'm playing a different game now. So I've gone from one game to now playing a different game simply because I've changed labels. I'm identifying myself differently. I'm perceiving the world differently. And so therefore I'm just living life differently.
I love that perspective as well on difference between founder and CEO and labels, as we were briefly discussing that you don't like the labels, right? But then knowing, okay, what's the next level of that also potentially not only will unlock new things for your own life, but create a new position for someone to step in and now run the entire empire, right? How do you create an environment that A players are fighting to be a part of?
You be an A+ player. You have to show up incredibly. And that's why I love the feeling of knowing, wanting that I have to show up as my best self and that I'm continually wanting to evolve and better myself. Because if I'm not doing that, I have no right to think why others would want to be able to help serve me and work together on a mission. So it's like parenting, right? You don't expect your child to change or to learn from the things that you say. It happens from what you do. They are simply looking at you and being like, oh, dad's showing up this way, so therefore I learn this way. So you've got to show up and be like that for them to be able to learn. Like, my children don't learn from the things that I say. They learn from the way that I be. And so for me, I think it's the same as team members. I need to show up as my best self. And I say this to my leadership team. I'm like, you have to show up in the way that you expect your team members that are reporting to you for how you want them to show up. And I'll get nitty gritty on this. I'm like, we use Asana as our project management system, right? I'm like, I pulled one team member up in the HODs. I'm like, dude, you're not using Asana properly. I can see overdue tasks here. Number one, we don't tolerate that. And two, don't expect your team members to follow the system properly if you're not following the system properly. So I think it can go from grand perspective down to like the nitty gritty tactical stuff just from the way that we do that. So for me, it's a case of, yeah, I think it's an easy answer. You show up amazingly yourself.
What's now in the way that you conduct yourself and your business, what's your role, or what's the role of a founder and CEO?
Taking care of culture and taking care of cash and ensuring that there is the right soil for the environment for how everyone is actually showing up, and ensuring that there is a vision and a mission that we're all actually on. So for me, it's very much a case of I need to be out of the... No, sorry. Again, there is perspectives on this. And this is the way like my makeup is. And so in a certain aspect, the way that I see myself is I'm very much like an architect operator. So like 80-90% of the time, I should be acting as an architect. And then I need to be also like in the trenches on the ground as an operator to see how everything is. And I need to go through between those two very different sides of it. So for me, I need to be looking grand vision. Where is it that we're going? And also very much as a CEO, it's protecting the company. So what's actually happening right now? What are changes in the marketplace? What's happening with technology? What are all the things that could be threatening this company and its survival and its success? And so for me, I need to think of that grand vision, but I also need to be in the weeds from time to time to ensure that everything is happening the way that it needs to happen. And also so I can have that fingertip touch to know what's going on inside the business, because especially when I consult CEOs, there is a big trend in which a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs right now, we do it because we want freedom, okay? And I think a lot of the time there creates too much freedom or too much space between the founder and what's actually happening inside of the business, and they lose that fingertip touch, right? And they lose that ability to know what's really going on inside of the business. What are the customers and clients really saying? How's the team really showing up? And so you want a certain level of connection. And obviously you need to be able to do that without being in the weeds 24/7 and without having to work 24/7. But there is a case of being able to be inside of the business, knowing what is going on so that you can best provide for it.
Absolutely. Keeping a pulse on the business, on what's happening, and making sure that the way I see it is, are we keeping the promises that we make to our clients, partners? Are we fulfilling that, right? How do we make sure that every single department is operating at the standard that it should be? And how much do I need to step in to make sure that that standard is kept, right? And so that's why I keep navigating, going back and forth of how much do I need to step in to make sure that everything is being whole at the highest level, and let the leadership team take over as well and assume responsibility. How much which fires as well do I need to just let burn and just let it be.
Totally agree. And it's very much a case of, do you just go, all right, I've got to let this team members figure it out, and I have to let them get a little bit burned? Do I go all the way in and I have to get on that call with that client to then be able to solve what needs to be? Do I just coach the team member to be able to help them be able to navigate through? So there's different levels to how much interaction and how much I need to be a part of what's needed there as well. And that's a dance. Like it's hard. Like, again, I think it just takes from experience to truly know that. And I think it's very much important to have the awareness. Okay, how much do I need to go in there to figure out what's needed to get fixed right now? And an ability to trust. Like there is a certain level of faith as well that needs to happen with that, because I don't want to be an overbearing person, pointing fingers and telling people from the top what to go. That's not the culture I want to breed at all. I want my team to have agency with how they show up and how they execute. I want them to enjoy it. I want them to be able to know that they have the ability and they have the duty to be forward thinking as well. Like I say to my team, if you find a problem, feel free to fix it. Like the case is, business is problem solving. The definition of business is we need to be able to solve problems. And we find that there is a huge problem in thinking that you have a problem with having problems. So therefore, know that every day that you wake up, you should naturally wake up to problems to solve. That is the nature of business. So accept it, embrace it, and get really goddamn good at being able to embrace and do the things needed to solve those problems. And that's where, as a founder, we need to dance with that and ensure that the company is doing that at its best level.
Absolutely. And having problems is a great problem to have. Be concerned if you have no problems, because that's probably an indicator for you to know that you're either stalling or the company is not moving forward.
Or that if you're still having the same problems. That's probably one of the biggest predictors.
Dangerous
of a company.
one. Yeah.
If you're continually having the same problems, you're not learning the lesson. Yeah. I literally had this discussion yesterday with a couple of my team members. I was like, there is a lesson to be learned here. I want us to learn this lesson and to transcend this lesson to be able to move forward. And I also said, if we continue to have this same problem, we're being unintelligent. We're not learning. We're being stupid. So therefore, let's not do that and let's do the right things.
And I laugh because that's exactly what I repeat to my team all the time. I don't care about the mistakes. I want to know that we're making mistakes, because that will be a red flag for me. If we're not making mistakes, we're not playing big. We're not risking enough. We're not moving fast enough. So I want to see the mistakes. What I don't want is repeating the same mistakes, because that's stupidity. And we're not stupid here. So let's learn the lessons. Can you give us a breakdown of what an average week looks for you as a CEO and founder?
So I work 4 days a week. I am thinking about this stuff 7 days a week. So this is where I was like, okay, I can talk. I work doing 4 days a week, 4 hours a day. Okay, yes, technically that's true in one aspect, but do you know what I mean? I wake up in the middle of the night sometimes thinking about this stuff, not as a negative as well, like as a positive. You know, oh my God, there is an insight. My subconscious mind is working through something. So again, there's both levels to that. Typically, for me, I'm quite sure it's about 3.5 hours of like calls on my calendar, like meetings, with the vast majority of them on Tuesdays. So Tuesdays mornings is when I have like the meetings, our weekly meetings with HODs, with the departments and everything like that. There may be 1 or 2 meetings on a Thursday. So I'll only ever hold calls or meetings on Tuesdays and Thursdays. They're the only days allowed that something will get put onto my calendar. Mondays is all about creativity and being able to do like content and being able to write and be able to think and be able to learn and be able to go through those things. Wednesday for me is like systems and problem solving. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday is me to be able to just be open, to be very free. Whatever I want to work on. If I do. If I don't, I don't, and work it out that way.
There's something that I notice with your existing partners that I think it's fascinating, and it's a concept that has been well used from people like Andrew Tate. That is, you don't share much about your partners. So it almost is like a bit of a secret society in a way. Why is that?
Yeah, this was an interesting problem to have that I didn't know when I first made the decision of why I wanted it. So I'll explain it all through. We do not share the names of our partners and who we work with. I made that decision because I want them to have competitive advantage in their marketplaces. So if we're saying, hey, there's this person and this person and this person, people like to funnel hack, people like to copy and emulate. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to keep their competitive advantage in their marketplace. I'm not going to talk about who it is that we actually work with. Now, the problem that comes is, well, it's really hard to share social proof. Like, I'm not sharing this person and here's all these screenshots and here's the names and all that kind of stuff. I cannot do that. So it's very much like blurred faces and blurred names and things of that nature to be able to actually share social proof. So one of the problems that we had early on was people would say on sales calls to my sales team and be like, well, can you show me some like more proof as to when it comes to this? And at the start I was like, oh shit, how do I actually show proof? Because I made the decision not to share their names. I want them to have that level of secrecy and privacy. We've been able to get around it pretty well. And I can be like, look, our shit works. We know that it works and I can show you that it works. So the sales team can handle those objections and show that really easily. I can show that in the marketing that we do and those sorts of things, but not to the level and to the degree that I used to in my past companies. I couldn't do that. Like I could have scrolling pages of testimonials and social proof where I can't do that today. So it's a different level to be at. I enjoy having that level of secrecy, privacy. I wouldn't necessarily say it's a secret club or anything like that, but I don't think that we have to be just like spraying their names and everything like that the entire time as well. So for me, it's been very much a case of, no, I do believe I made the right decision by doing that. And also my partners, when signing on, they had that level of trust and knowing where they don't want their names sprout at all. Like so many of the times people will be, do you know what I mean? They have, okay, great. They just made $100,000 profit in the month. They were only making 20,000 before. It's been a couple months in. Amazing. Now, there's been cases where they'll achieve some great things and I'll be like, hey, can I use this in marketing material? We're not going to use your name or anything like that. And they know that. They're like, yeah, that's totally cool. Like one guy signed up in the first week, made $100,000 cash collect and increased his MRR by $35,000. Like crushed it. Now, is that the typical result everyone's going to have when coming on board? No, God damn it, no. But it's great to be able to point at. It's a little bit of an ego boost to be like, see, our shit works. But it's also a case of I don't want to rely on that style of marketing as well. I want a deeper essence of knowing when someone comes on board. And also in the case of if you need all of these other pieces of social proof and everything like that, what's the true objection? Why do you not feel comfortable saying yes and getting started? Which, to be honest, we solve that problem by having our guarantee when somebody comes on board. If they do not ROI, they don't pay. And we have it very clearly mapped out for them. So when people are the right fit, and this is where I wanted to get to, will the people that are the right fit feel completely at ease and say, yep, I'm good to come on board. Like, this is amazing. This is literally, this is a no-brainer. I'm good with this. So I think about this a lot, not just with our offer, but with all of our partners' offers. How can I call this offer engineering. So how can I engineer the offer in a way so that the correct prospect, the actual client that they want to be working with, will be really magnetically attracted to what it is they're doing and the way that they're doing it. And also in a case of the way in which you market and sell will attract the type of client that you will work with. So many marketing methods that people are using today will attract lower quality clients. And typically those lower quality clients are going to give you the highest amount of headaches, and they're not the people you want to deal with. So you need to be able to play with that to be able to understand, who am I actually attracting to my business? And am I doing what's needed for them to feel very comfortable and confident with coming on board?
Just to clarify there as well with the sales process, because obviously it, as a part of playing this game or this strategy of keeping the partners as almost like a secret club, you then obviously have that problem of, well, we don't have many case studies to show, so naturally that's going to become an objection, which you said, like you being able to get around it. If a founder wants to start implementing this secret society type of strategy when it comes to their partners or clients, what would be your best tip to not affect sales as well? Is it a very strong guarantee? Well, what did you find to be the highest lever for that to still not create problems when it came to the sales process?
So it's actually very interesting, and it's very good of you to pick up, because it was literally looking at how Tate was selling his stuff. And I remember seeing, whatever you think of the actual person does not actually matter. Learn from what you can learn from people and go, if somebody is having a level of success, why is that? And what can I learn from that? And when people get caught up with people's narratives, it blows my mind how stupid that is. But I could see I was looking at one of his sales pages, and it was a case of, it was like a get together of people, and all their faces were blurred instead of his. And which was really interesting, because we just held a retreat, a partner only retreat. We hold 3 retreats a year, partners only. We hold it. I pay for all the expenses and everything like that. They just need to get their butts there. And we have 3 of the most incredibly effective and productive days like ever. The amount of work that we can do in 3 days together in person, literally, like I was like, I'm having a sauna at 7 a.m. Feel free to come and join me. And then we get into the place where we sit down, we work through the day. I get lunch delivered to us. So we sit and have lunch. We're able to talk. So there's not wasted time in logistics or anything like that. One day, like, we'll go do kickboxing together, but we're still together. There's still conversations happening all the way up into having dinner together, and then like wrapping up dinner at typically like, let's say 8 p.m, off to your villas, go to sleep, come back, get ready for the next day. But knowing, I was like, oh, I get to do this now, but I'm going to blur the people's faces that are actually there also. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. So good on you for picking that up. If somebody wants to be able to implement something like this, I think of, is this something that fits your model of business and how you want to do business? Secondly, to acutely answer your question, it is a case of, am I engineering the marketing and sales process to attract the right person and to be able to have them in their mind go, there is a great confidence that I have that this person is going to give me what I want in the way that I want it, is in the speed that I want it, with the ease of me being able to do what I need to be able to do. So am I just engineering the process for them to be able to be like, yep, this is a no-brainer for me? And that's why I call this, going through this process, we literally call it creating a money printing offer, because you want this to be at the level for somebody to get onto a sales call, not needing to talk about logistics, not needing to talk about, is this actually going to really work? Like, they just need for a sales call to happen, because at a certain price point, we want to be able to have that as our sales mechanism. And again, like, we've sold high ticket stuff through a Google Doc, where they just simply say, yes, I'm in, they pay, and they get on board and everything like that. But to the degree in which we do, like, for somebody to come on board with us, it's $3,500 a month starting. Like, so it's a minimal investment for what somebody is, for the level of what they're going to get. Like, I know, and I literally will have my sales team members can say on the calls, this is us breaking even. Like, we're not making money off this. We're doing it so you can have total confidence. Because for me, in our sales process, because what we do is so vast and technical as well, because we're handling their marketing, we're doing their ads, we're building their funnels, we can do their sales calls. Like, it's so technical, and there's so many moving parts to that engine. I say, I don't want you to say yes or no now on a sales call. because that's an uneducated decision. I want you to make an educated decision, and you can only do that from being on the inside. So let's just get you on the inside. You make a small deposit, get you there, and if you're not happy, then you've got the guarantee. You can walk away, refund, it's totally fine. You're not going to lose a penny during this process. So I'm making a concession through this process to make sure that it's very easy for them to say yes. And then more importantly, I then engineer that with all of the partners that we work with, how do they have their own process so that the sales is really easy.
Partners. Your specific business model of partnership with some of your partners, you also take equity in. There's a few levels. I would love for you to break that down in a second. But first of all, I want to know, for a founder or a business owner that is looking into this potential business model of partnerships, what do you look for on a partnership, on a partner?
3 criteria that I said, and now my team knows, has to check boxes for somebody to come on board. I think of a jockey horse scenario for the first 2. So number 1, the jockey. So them, the founder, the business owner, are they great, world-class even at what they do, and they have the knowledge and expertise? Secondly, the horse, their business model, the market they're in, what they're selling. Is that a winning model? Is that a model that we want to be able, or sorry, is that a model that we're confident in, that we can rapidly scale and get them to where they want to be able to go? And we turn down a lot of people where they might check the first box. The second box is the model of the business that they want to do is not a model that we're going to scale. Now, I've got nothing against school groups and school communities at all. However, we've had plenty of people come to us being like, I want to grow this school community. I want to charge $97 a month and go from there. And they might be just like, I'm thinking of a couple of people that I got told with, and I look at their call notes and reviews, and I was like, it was correct for our salespeople to go, no, you are not a right fit. If you want to do this type of models, these are the models that we know that we can scale and grow really goddamn well. But if you want to do this over here, look, you're looking for pizza, we sell kebabs. It's just not a right fit, right? So are they world-class at what they do? They have the expertise, they have the chops. Is the business model and essentially the market that they're in, there are certain markets that just we will not touch because we're not confident and we do not want to actually grow in those markets. And then thirdly, would I want this person over for Christmas lunch? This is a partnership. I wanted a partner-led business model. And so if we're going to have a working relationship, I want us to enjoy that. So the criterion or the decision-making razor that I use is, would I have this person over for Christmas lunch? If I wouldn't, we're not going to super enjoy each other's company. This isn't going to be a great fit. It's not going to be good. So therefore, it doesn't check the third box. But if they do, amazing. Great, let's go.
I was going to say, because even as you were describing, the kind of experience that you were putting together for your partners, you really need to like your partner, right? To be hanging out at that level with them, which is something that I found for myself as well. My clients, the best clients and the people that we take on these days as well, because of the level of service that we provide that is so hands-on, so involved, so much heavy lifting. We need to not only believe into what they're doing and know that they have a product market fit and, a validated offer and concept, but also that they're just cool people.
Totally.
Honestly.
Totally. And you want to enjoy the people that you work with.
Yes.
And you want to serve the people that you truly want to be able to serve as well. Anyone that's been in the game for any amount of time knows the soul-sucking feeling of knowing you just sold someone and accepted their money, but you really deep down know that that's just going to be a pain in the ass and you just shouldn't have done it, right? And we've all been there, starting as a coach. If somebody had a pulse and a credit card, I'll take their money and I can do this. But we mature beyond that point as well. So for me, you asked about the models and the levels that we really have. We have 3. We might roll out a 4th. So the 4th level that we might roll out, I'll publicly say it. We might roll out a licensing model, which essentially is everything that we're doing with all of our partners that we know is working. I could just give to the people that essentially aren't the perfect fit for us to partner with, because we can only partner with so many people, or they can't actually afford to come on board. So I want to help more people, but there is a capacity to where we're at with the model that I have chosen with a partner-led model. So we might roll out a licensing model where for I don't know, the numbers that we've been throwing around is pretty goddamn low for someone to get access to all of the marketing and sales material that we literally know is selling, doing tons of stuff. Then the second level is essentially we build the systems out for them. We can build all their infrastructure out, all of their systems. And if they're like, hey, I just need this built and I know I need this stuff built, I need the funnels correct, I need all of the infrastructure ready, and I can happily run it from there, then we can build it out for them, and that's really easily done. The third level is what we call partners, whereas essentially as they come on board, we can run their business for them with marketing and sales. And as we spoke, like when I started this company doing less than a year ago, it was like, we're just going to do marketing, lead generation. That's what we're really good at. But the problem that we found was we were so good at it that we found our partners didn't have the sales system, sales team, management process to actually make use of and close all of the lead flow that was coming through. So I had to sit with it for a while and contemplate, because I knew that I was making a big decision whether I wanted to build an internal sales team. I made the decision to do so. I brought in some amazing team members to be able to build and run that, were much better than me to be able to build that department out. And so now we have the capacity to be able to do literally all of the marketing, all of the acquisition, all of the sales, and completely have done. So we can have on a partner level, we'll run all of your acquisition. Essentially, you're just getting everything done with clients onboarding into your program, and you don't have to worry about that stuff. And then there's our publishing partners, which is where we'll take equity with their business. Typically, someone starts, I don't like actually signing a publishing partner from the very beginning of the relationship. I'd rather someone be a partner for some length of time, just so we get to know each other, especially like I kick my tires, you kick mine. Let's see if this actually is good. It's actually becoming profitable and successful now that we can have it. So somebody will typically come to us and go, I want to become a publishing partner. Maybe because they want us to run like pretty much everything for them, where they do their jazz hands, they do their zone of genius, but we are there literally doing their marketing, their sales, even in their operations of their business, building the systems out, helping with the team, like really running their business for them. And they're able to be in their zone of genius, loving life, and they can clock off and they can have a very handsome profit every single month without all of the stress. And or they want to exit their business as well. So that's where it's like, because I've gone through the process, because I've helped other people go through that process now, I feel confident that if somebody fits the right criteria, I'm like, yeah, we can continue to build this and actually build it to then exit the company as well.
After doing it yourself, building a successful 8-figure business, selling, exiting a business, consulting many 7, 8-figure business owners, what have you found is the best model and vehicle to get to 8 figures?
So when you say there's nuance to this answer, so excuse me for having to say it depends, which is the case of it depends because what's the right fit for that founder? What's the right business model for them? If somebody wants to get to 8 figures, so they want to be doing 10 million plus a year, let's just call it $1 million a month for ease. Is someone doing a traditional business coaching company the right fit? The statistics say no, because that's not the model of business that's best going to get them to that level if they want to get there. If somebody is 100% sold on themselves that they want to get to 8 figures, they know why and all the reasons and that jazz, it's typically going to be a case where the model has to be able to scale in a capacity where you can help enough people charging at a price point so that essentially you have a lifetime value with the market that you can tap into and serve, that then turns the math into 8 figures. So the maths is what I say. So on the back of a napkin, we can sit down and go, all right, this is how many people we can serve. And I know what the customer acquisition, I care of 2 numbers. What's a customer acquisition? How much is lifetime value gross profit? Sorry, how much does it cost me to get a client? And then how much do I know over the lifetime value gross profit? So after serving that client, how much is actually left over so that I know those numbers. Then it's a time factor, such as how fast am I able to actually bring cash in? Because essentially, all I'm doing with my partners' businesses is I'm building a machine where we put $1 in, it goes through the system, it spits out a client that gives us X number of dollars, and I can say to that founder, great, take a big chunk of that profit, put it in your back pocket, put a small piece of that profit to come back to acquire our next client. And all I'm doing is rinse and repeating that process to going, I can take money, I can invest it into the business, and then I'm able to know with a fair degree of certainty how much money that's going to bring me out so that I continue rinse and repeating that process. And then I just want to be able to do it as fast as I possibly can to continue to scale that business to the degree in which we are able to acquire clients. So what we were speaking about earlier, there are certain business models where I can't sell infinite amount of clients. Like if I said to you, hey, if I got you 100 clients tomorrow, what would break?
Yeah, with this done for you system,
You would break.
many things. Yeah.
Is there anything wrong with that? No, there's not anything wrong with that if you're cool with the knowledge that you can only take on so many clients. So then that's just a lever to toggle the way that I see it. I can toggle acquisition and how fast we want to bring leads in. So when I know the numbers of how many leads come through to how many sales conversations happen to what are the conversion rates, there is about 9 metrics in a sales pipeline that I want to know. And so then I can actually figure the math out to how many clients we can then be selling. And all I need is a conversation essentially from acquisition department to talk to the customer success department to go, hey, how customer success goes, we can handle X number of clients signing on, let's say per week. And then it's the acquisition's job to go, great, I will acquire those best quality clients at honestly, the best price that I can possibly get as well to then be able to bring in those people as well. So it's just some basic engineering and some math that we need to be able to do to figure that stuff out.
With the right, and I know there will be quite a few different variables to this question, but in your experience, with the right conditions, how fast can a business go from 100K months to 1 million months?
Honestly, I haven't seen it enough with my experience on that level to give you a decent answer. I call that the rectal extraction method, where I'd be pulling an answer out of my ass, to be perfectly honest. I can't give you if it's a case of how can I get someone from 0 to 100K profit, shit, we could do that. Do you know what I mean? Like, when I did the consulting, I went from 0 to $1 million run rate in 63 days. There was no advertising actually involved with that as well. It's a fucking vanity metric at the same time, because it doesn't really matter, because it depends what you're building. Like building a consulting business to building something that's like, I'm building a true sellable asset that will sell for tens and tens of millions of dollars is a different thing. And so then that for me is why I may lean on the maxim, I need to go slow to go fast. So I need to build a really strong foundation that takes time to get the right team, to get the right process, just to have enough experience of putting the reps in so that then I can immediately turn the toggle up. And that's what's been happening with us. Like I've been slamming the brakes on in acquisition side of things because we've been so focused on perfecting what the client success needs to be able to happen. And now that we're like, this is really goddamn close to being at such a high level that we're so confident that we can just turn acquisition right up and let it rip. Yeah, unfortunately, I can't give you a great answer to your original question.
What are the characteristics of an 8-figure founder?
There is a certain level of obsession somebody has to be able to build themselves and the people around them to what's needed to be able to build that business. there is a certain level of development within themselves for them to be able to show up into the world. There is a curiosity inside of them that continues to pull them through to wanting to find better solutions, better answers, and betterment with themselves and all as well. And I think there is just a certain level of like, what is their makeup? What is their character traits? What is their skill sets? Like, who are they and how are they made? And is that the right thing for them as well? And I think that's one of the things that's not answered in that direct question you ask is that person the right fit to build an 8-figure business? Because some people aren't. Not every, like, do you know what I mean? Like, I was born and built this way. Like, am I a naturally gifted swimmer? No, I swim like a brick. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm just not for that. I wasn't made for that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not a ballerina. That's just not going to be me. Now, I could practice and I could get really good, but am I going to be world class at it? And I think when you just look at the numbers as well, from a practical standpoint, what's the percentage of businesses that actually do $1 million a month upwards? It's very small. But does that mean someone should feel bad about themselves for not doing that? Not at all. And that's what I don't want people to feel that guilt or that shame or that negativity that can come from them going, oh, I'm here and that person's over there, and because I'm not there, I feel bad within myself. I don't want people to have that burden upon themselves.
Why have you put so much emphasis into putting video podcasts and content creation out there to build your brand?
Oh, for me, it's a case of it's a creative expression of myself. I enjoy it. Like, I like it. I think at the basis of that question is I like it. And I like the creativity. I like me getting better at it. It sharpens my thinking. Being able to have conversations, being able to know that I have to wake up this morning to be able to sit down with you and to have noises come out of my mouth hole that hopefully give value to somebody that hears those reverberations means I need to be of someone of value. And so that will make the world a better place than I first found it. And I think that is something that I enjoy. So for me, selfishly, it sharpens my thinking, which is what I want to continue to do, because with more conversations, I'm able to see things from different perspectives. With more conversations, I want pushback on what my beliefs are, the way that I'm doing things, the way that I see things. And I want to be able to lay things down in which hopefully will help other people profit.
This segment is called This or That. So choose one or the other. Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Sushi or steak?
Steak.
Expert or jack of all trades?
Expert.
Product or service business?
Oh, service.
CEO or founder?
Founder.
Founder or investor?
Investor.
Instagram or TikTok?
Oh, fuck. I don't even have a TikTok, I don't think. Instagram.
Instagram or YouTube?
YouTube.
Photos or videos?
Videos.
Short form or long form video content?
Long form.
Newsletters or podcasting?
Shit, I want to add nuance to all this stuff. I'm going to say newsletter because I want to sit and write to, again, refine my thinking. So then when I do a podcast, there's good.
Sorry, that one hurt a little.
Little jab to the guts.
Organic or paid marketing? 1 million followers with low conversions or 1K followers with huge ROI?
I don't give a shit about followers. I care about clients.
Building a talent or hiring a talent?
I need to build talent before I can hire talent.
A talent at a high price tag or multiple cheap C talent?
A players and pay them really goddamn well.
Property investing or shares?
Property.
Property or crypto?
Property.
Property or buying businesses?
Businesses.
Building a business or buying a business?
You've caught me at an intersection right now. I have to say, for integrity, building.
Passion, 6-figure business or stressful 8-figure business?
Passion.
Sales or marketing?
Marketing.
Which was the most controversial question that I just asked you, and why?
Which was the most controversial? Let me go backwards. What was not controversial at all? Paid over organic, because what I ultimately do is I help my partners sleep like a brick. And I do that because they know that their business grows, money comes in, and they don't have to be at the mercy of things such as an algorithm for them to be able to put mouth to food together. Building, buying businesses, I find interesting right now because I am moving more into that investor perspective of, okay, what can I actually do now if a business is already off the ground, and rather than me going from 0 to 1, how do I help them go from 1 to 100? That's an interesting game that I'm looking at now. So for me, that's actually something that I'm very much like, I think this is a game. Back to the chessboard. I think this is a game now I'm interested to play more in, because I feel that I have the confidence. Also because I've seen enough behind the scenes for what I think from the private equity world to what game they're playing. Like I saw the game private equity is playing. I was like, oh, that's super interesting. But also they didn't have necessarily the skill set to actually build the businesses. And so that's where I was like, oh no, I am confident in being able to take on businesses now and to be able to take them to success, rather than building it myself from scratch. I do not believe if I sold this company, when I sell this company, let's be truthful, I don't think necessarily I'm actually going to move into something to start something from scratch again. I think my next game will be taking existing businesses and doing what's needed to grow them. I think that's what interests me the most.
Question with the organic versus paid, because this is something that becomes a huge topic, right? Which one should you do and why? And you have different people getting on different sides. Some of them are somewhere in between. Now you focus on paid, right, for your specific business and partners. What have you found with the businesses and founders that do both at a high level?
Yeah, okay. So the true answer is both. It's not one or the other at all. I rather start and focus on paid, and once that is going, there is definitely great need. I think we're actually moving into the era of need for organic as well. So thankfully, I'm not a hypocrite because I do organic, and I very much do the paid. The reason why I think there is the need for both and they need to work with each other is because just the buying ways that we go about what we do and how we operate and how people actually find a brand and then decide on, what problem they're going to solve by voting with their cash. It happens with both. And so we have definitely found that there is a sweet spot of being able to use paid and organic together. So it's actually having what I call the matrix of the system that uses all of it together so that you can best amplify and grow a business. And it's not the case of like, I put my money where my mouth is because I've literally taken equity in a content business so that we can better help our partners with their organic content. And so there is so many cases. So I've worked with influencers with millions of followers that were making bugger all money, right?
Classic.
So it's not about organic stuff. I've also very much built my chops on like getting people that are absolute nobodies to be able to make really good money through paid stuff. And many of them as well don't want a following, right? So, and I think that's where it's people like, oh, well, do I have like no followers, or do I have a faceless brand, or do I have to have like hundreds of thousands of followers? And I'm like, that's not the case at all. Like you could have a couple of thousand followers and have an incredibly wildly profitable business for what that person wants. So again, it comes to the fact that they both are needed together for the greatest success. I don't think it's a one or the other.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. And we see it time and time again where our best clients are the ones that ended up having a mix of both. And we're in a current market, as you probably know, that where trust level is at its low as it has been. Competition is extremely high. People are getting bombarded left and right with offers, ads, content. So you need to find a way to build that trust faster and to reach your audience in as many pockets where they could be as well. And the first thing that they do once they go through an ad, right now, they're not just going to go to a page. They're going to go check all your socials. They're going to check the people behind it. They're going to check the founder, the CEO. Do they have a personal brand? Are they providing any level of value? Because if I go to any of your competitors, chances are there's a superstar in there providing a ton of value or things that you might even be charging for absolute free, right? So how can you really position yourself within the market with both of those vehicles to be in front of your customer, providing with as much value and information up front to also attract the right people, right? Inquiring that by the time they jump on a sales call, they're also super warmed and pre-sold because, hey, dude, I've listened to all the podcasts, I watch all the videos, I'm here for it, and I like Chris. Because I also know Chris, they feel like they know you at a deeper level. So I'm ready to buy. But you can tell me everything, but I just want to know how much is it, right? That's the kind of quality of prospects that at least we are really focusing on. How can we help our clients and partners to basically be able to build a system that allows them to bring that level of prospects that are pre-sold in.
Yeah, we geeked out hard on this, and I'm at a current philosophy right now where I believe it's probably about 6 pieces of content that can do the vast majority of the heavy lifting to engineer trust. So that when somebody, and why, when you said like marketing or sales, I said marketing, because for me, if my marketing is as effective as it needs to be, that sales conversation is practically taking a credit card. It's practically a checkout conversation because the objections, so like I think of the movie Inception.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think of the movie Inception where I want to know what are the objections. So let's think of Vibes, for example, right now. You go, what are the objections somebody's going to have that is going to stop or slow someone from actually buying from you, okay? I want to take those objections and I want to be able to answer those and solve those before they even really ask that question in their head. That's already solved because of the marketing material that I've provided them going through that. And so we found that it can really get done predominantly through 2 pieces of content, which is 1 video and 1 Google Doc that we have like just practically mastered, because if people are able to go through those 2 pieces of content, there is enough heavy lifting done for the person to be really at ease going into a sales conversation. Now, there are other elements such as like, do I really like the person and do I really vibe with that person as well? And that's why I said long form over short form, right? Because long form gives me the ability to add nuance to the discussion, to flesh out, to show my personality, to see if there is a connection there. And so, yes, the short form is to like get somebody into your world. Maybe. I'm still not 100% sold on that, but it can very much help that process. But for the case of someone sitting on their phone and just like scrolling and then being able to be like, oh, I'm going to buy because of that, I'm not sold that somebody needs to be seeing tons of short form for that stuff. I want to be able to get that person from a short form to a long form to be able to go through the set criteria needed so that they can enter into a sales process to then be sold.
That's something that I've found to be now imperative. You need to have long form content, because also, guess what? Most of your competitors right now, they're just focusing on short form because it's the easiest one as well to get out there, right? Just create a 30-second video. Most of them are even lazier. They just go stick to the 5-second video and that's it, hoping that that's going to increase sales like crazy.
Yeah.
That's not the case. And even if you think of your own journey or my own experience when buying things, I go and I look straight away on YouTube, Spotify, how much can I consume of their content, and to get a good sense of what they offer, of the people involved, of the mission behind it. Because ultimately as well, people do business with people. As you know, your name, your logo, those things don't matter anymore. They want to know, can you get me the result? And do I believe that you're the right person or the right team to get me that result? That's the biggest difference, because there are people out there offering the same service, potentially in a different way, with a different mechanism, right? That's why it hopefully is unique to you as well, your unique mechanism of delivering that specific result. But ultimately, do they want to do business with you, right? Do they feel, because those we have found are the best clients to partner with as well, the ones that they come and they already have a sense of who's the founder, or they understand who are the people involved, what we stand for, what are the beliefs, and ultimately nobody can compete with you on that.
Yeah. Well, there's also the factor as well, what comes to my mind when you say that is somebody will see a piece of content at a certain time and they will have a certain level of pain from a problem, and that will just cause them to then act. You don't know when that's going to be, which is why there needs to be a certain level of proliferation with content, putting it out into the world, because one of those pieces will cause a reaction to go, oh, okay, yep, I've got to do something today about this. Do you know what I mean? Like something has happened. They've had an argument with their spouse. Do you know what I mean? They jumped on the scales and they didn't like it that morning. Like they looked at their bank balance and they were suddenly hit by a sense of like shame. Something has happened to be like, I need to solve this problem now. And so that's where there is a level of being able to be top of mind for when it comes to it. There is that aspect. And that's when ultimately branding is so important, because when that top of mindness happens, when that pain is essentially poked at hard enough, then they're likely to make a buying decision with you. I'm not at that level to know how to engineer all of that stuff by any means. That's beyond my pay grade right now. But it's very much a case of, and I think that's when people are trying to go like, is it this or is it that? That can be a destructive mindset where I may need to dig deeper and to know, how do I hold that tension of that paradox to know what I need to do right now?
Absolutely. And like you said, they both complement each other. There's one that you would rather use depending on a specific scenario, but ultimately, if you have those two playing at a high level, they both fit each other, right?
So it's super funny because I think of one partner right now. He's about to profit $100K a month, working, a handful of hours a week in a very small market, and he does no organic content, zero. And so that's why I was like, I think where I may be saying things a little bit differently than what others say is because I may just have experience in the real world and can point to actual examples and go, well, that person, so you don't need to do organic. You don't need to do paid. You don't need to do any of those things necessarily. It's what's going to be a best fit for you right now. So it is good to know that there are outliers to go, well, like this guy over here is earning a really goddamn good living, really enjoying life, traveling the world with his family. Do you know what I mean? And he's not doing the song and dance like so many others. I actually wrote a piece of copy, and one of my team members actually called me out on it and goes, "Oh, that's a bit harsh." And the line that I wrote was, "You don't want to be that 50-year-old silver-haired fox still shooting Instagram reels." And it triggered, and like she was like, "Oh, like that's really harsh. Like that could really poke and possibly piss people off." But that's because there's a certain level of truth in it. Do you know what I mean? Like, do you still want to be this person at a certain stage in life doing the dancing bear? And if you do, amazing. More power to you. I'm rooting for you. Like, you go. But if you don't, then there's decisions to be made as to what you're doing is the right thing. Because I think a lot of people are falling into the, I need to go do that thing because that's what other people are doing, and that's not serving them.
Absolutely. And I totally agree with that. And I think you said it best with that key phrase in there. You have to know exactly what you want and what's the design for the business and the life that you want to live. Because as you said, there's a perfect case study for someone that is crushing it with pay, someone that is crushing it organically, and you can find obviously the in-betweens.
Yeah.
But then the one that might be crushing it with just one of those, what happens when you add the other one? So that's why, it depends solely on,
example, again, I had a conversation with a colleague. She is world class at organic content, like world class. And the discussion it was really interesting because I was like, I'm really good at paid and you're really good at organic. I was like, can you help me with the organic and I'll help you with paid, right? And the thought, and what we came to with her was her shit would blow up so goddamn quickly when we turned the paid on that she was like, "Oh, I have to get the actual delivery structure like ready," because she could see how this would just absolutely launch everything as well. But it's because she's so good at organic, and the soil is right for that to be had, right? And that's the thing, like whether it's like organic or paid or anything like that. Let's say like with paid, for example, if you don't have it right, you could just be burning cash.
Absolutely.
Like if you have a crap offer and you've got really bad messaging and it's just beige and vanilla what you're doing, like it's not going to work. So it's only going to amplify shit.
Yeah.
More shit will come out of it because like it's not actually something that is going to work. Organic is great because it can help you get a bit of a feel for what is resonating with my market if you're very conscious and aware and being able to tap into that stuff. And it's the difference between, do I have time or do I have money, right? Because if I've got some money, I can get to the result really quickly. I can run 5 ads in an hour from now, and by the end of the day, get some really good actual data to know what is working so that I can really run with it. Like that's all the process that we are. When we start with a partner, it's like, great, we're going to come up with the best 10 hooks and angles that we think. We're going to run those ads. We might get 2 or 3 winners. We turn the 7 losers off and we continue to try and beat our control. And we're able to do that really quickly now to get to an end result where we're able to start bringing in leads within a week. 2, 4 weeks, it start to flowing through, and then we can start building everything out. So that's where it's a case of like, can you do that with organic? Well, no, not if you don't have a big following already. Mm-hmm. And the other thing as well is like, is the following somebody have buyers?
Yeah, huge one.
Like that's where we've seen people with 1 million+ followers not be able to sell a bloody thing from what they're selling because the people that were following are not the actual buyers for what they've got. So there's that problem too.
That's something that we're huge on and that we always explain to people is you would rather just be talking to 100 potential customers and buyers than going viral with 1 million+ views and attracting a huge audience of the wrong people that are not going to buy. If the goal is to scale the business and sell more of your stuff, like, basically.
If you got like really nitty gritty on this stuff, it would be like, you know what? if I was talking to a business owner and they've got I have next to no following right now. I sold all of my social media accounts when I sold the company, and I just didn't put any effort into it because I didn't need to, because I was being able to do $25,000 retainers, do you know what I mean, with 8 to 10 clients. I'm like, I'm good. I don't need to do all of this other stuff. If somebody has 10,000 followers of the right people that are engaged, that's a wildly profitable business.
Absolutely.
Wildly profitable business. And I think a lot of business owners would have a lot more peace in their life knowing that they just need to slowly build up to that point, not try and get there overnight, but slowly build up to that point, because they are cultivating the right people. They are having an engaged audience. They are actually teaching their audience to do the right things with their content as well. I think that is actually what turns into a revenue driving machine.
And the single most powerful element to that organic paired with paid is that it's evergreen, meaning that once you put it out there, unless your platforms get whatever, cancel or closed, or it's going to live there forever, and it compounds. It has that compounding effect, different to paid. So,
And that's why I prefer YouTube over Instagram, for example.
absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? Because I think
100%.
YouTube and podcasts, which arguably could be very much the same thing anyway, is the platform in which I naturally gravitate to, and which I naturally see the vast majority of people that we work with. That is where they're going to reap the rewards from their organic content, for sure.
Absolutely. What are the 3 things that you will tell your 31-year-old self about building a successful 8-figure business?
Be someone worthy and valuable enough to be that person that can build that. Focus on having the team that is able to execute on what's needed there, and build the culture and the cadence needed so that you're best able to support everyone on doing what they need to do. Enjoy the fucking process. Don't rush it. Trust in the timing of life. The simple act of expanding your time horizon instantly makes things lighter. And when I talking to partners, founders, whatever, I typically bring on is if you felt lighter, is that something you would want? They all say yes. I've never had someone say no. And so for me, that sense, that essence of lighter is this unburdening. It's the weight coming off the shoulders of knowing that you don't have to stress and strain and struggle so much every single day to try and make something happen. And there is a sense of flow and ease and grace that allows things to unfold the way that they need to unfold.
The last 2 questions I asked you last time. This time, there's a bit of a different caveat.
I have no idea what we talked about last time, so
absolutely,
this will be interesting.
And you have changed so much, so the answers will not be the same. But I added a slight different nuance to it.
All right.
What's the worst business advice you have ever received?
The worst business advice I have ever received. This is something I do with my personality. So I'm going to take your question and I'm going to answer a different question to hopefully be more valuable to the listener. Earlier this year, I went down to see a mentor of mine, a 9-figure business owner and his team, and one of his team members, one of the best media buyers, I think, in the world, was doing a presentation. And essentially, the whole concept of why we came together, and I was sitting in this room and I was like, oh my God, these are the best marketers in Australia right now in this room. There was 20 of us in there. I'm like, this is the best of the best. This is amazing. This is so cool. I cannot believe I'm sitting in this room. this is rad. And it was all about how do we do $1 million weeks? So how do you build a 50 million plus revenue business? And this guy was explaining how to scale advertising. And so at the time, this person was spending, I want to say they were actually spending about $1 million a week in ads. Okay. So I don't know how much, let's say, your payroll costs at the end of every month, right? But like as you grow, there is a certain level of like, oh my God, like when you click pay on payroll, for example, do you know what I mean? On the 10th of every month, the number continues to get bigger. Like when you pay, like when I pay my Amex bill, I'm like, whoa, that's a solid number. Like, and you pay it and you happily pay it as well. And so this guy's explaining how to scale ads and the amount of money. Let's say if you're clicking pay Amex $1 million a week, there is a certain level of fear that might be coming up. And one of the people sitting, one of my, colleagues and peers, sitting near me, essentially was asking a question, which was like, how do you get over the fear? How do you actually continue to pay more and more and more in ads? And you don't know necessarily what the outcome is of it. Do you know what I mean? Like, are you going to put $100,000 down right now to hopefully, do you know what I mean, make $200,000 or $300,000 in God knows what time you hopefully know, but you don't really, and all of this kind of stuff? And he turned around and said the best piece of advice I've ever heard someone. And it was just great in that context when someone was trying to walk on eggshells around what their actual problem was. And he turned around and looked at him and goes, work on yourself. And I lost my shit. I was thigh slapping laughing because I was like, that's the best piece of advice. Work on yourself. And that's what we need to be doing, because us as founders, the capacity, the limit to our business is us. It's us. Your business is only where it's at right now because of you and your limitations. My business right now, the Rainmakers, is only where it's at right now because of my limitations. And when you truly grasp that, yes, there's a factor of, fuck, I'm flawed. Do you know what I mean? I've made mistakes. I have these limitations. This is what's truly causing my business not to go to where I would like it to be. But there is also agency and freedom that comes from that as well. And so the worst piece of advice is essentially trying to focus on all of these other, do you know what I mean, tactical things and avoiding what's truly at the basis of it, which is like working on yourself. Now, does that mean that you need to be doing all of the psychedelics and all of the therapies and seeing every healer under the sun, which I've done? No, that's just not the case whatsoever. But there is a case of understanding of how you operate, how you see the world, and how you show up. And if you're simply not doing the actions needed, you will not get the result that you are thinking you deserve.
What's the best tactical business advice you have ever received in order to build an 8-figure business?
Hire A-grade talent.
Last question. On our last round, we ended up with, you sharing some of those difficulties that you were going through, and that it would be interesting as well to see where you were, which we just covered at the beginning of the episode. What's the biggest challenge that you're currently dealing with?
My biggest challenge right now with everything is something that I'm actually surprisingly happy knowing that I'm getting better at it. And it is accepting and allowing joy to be a part of the process, and how I used to be so utilitarian. I'd wake up early in the mornings to get more stuff done, to be more productive. I'd go for a walk because I know I need to get my steps up. We do the sauna, we do the ice bath, we do all these things. Like everything had a very practical reason why I was doing it. And joy was never a part of that equation. And I'm now allowing joy to be a part of my life and a part of my process. And so for me, that hard part has been becoming that person and surrendering and allowing and evolving into the person that can now accept that. And it feels so goddamn good because there is that level of, I am flawed, I have made mistakes, I have limitations, but I still admire myself. And that to me is probably the greatest success that I've had thus far.
We are not only building the most influential podcast and source of information for founders and entrepreneurs to build a business that they don't grow to hate, essentially. But also because we're bringing the best of the best in here, we are also putting together what will be one of the top books for founders to accomplish that. So all I'm about to ask you is to write in here anything you will want to pass on for the future generation of founders and entrepreneurs.
I'll do my very best.
Anything you wish you knew, write as much as you want. Just know, and if you can do it on this side, that would be great. Just know that this is your legacy. This is what you're leaving behind. If this is your last day on earth and you have to pass on something for the next generation of founders and entrepreneurs, that's what you're passing on. I'm excited for this one because Brother Chris loves writing. What do you write?
Dear beautiful human, you are reading this because you can leave this world better than you found it. It is your duty, your mission, your passion to just be you. Trust yourself, trusting the timing of your life, and embrace the good, the bad, and all that is in between. You've got this.
Where can people find you, work with you, learn more about what you do?
The Chris Dufey podcast is the best place to listen to what I do and what I share. I share all my stuff there. Join the Rainmakers.com is to see everything that we actually do.
If you enjoyed this episode, all I ask for you is that you share it with another founder, business owner, entrepreneur that might find this valuable as well. Subscribe if you enjoy and get value out of this episode, and I'll see you on the next one. Good vibes for everyone. How's that?
Muy bueno.
Hey legends, my goal with Founders Playbook is to help 1 million entrepreneurs build successful personal brands and businesses so that they can increase their impact and profits. You can support the mission by simply sharing the podcast with other founders and entrepreneurs. Leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and follow us on social media. Let's get to work.